Hello, and welcome to Freedom Reads, Anti-Bias Book Talk, the new video series from Teaching for Change. We're going to take a look at children's books through an anti-bias, anti-racist lens as a strategy to learn ways to talk about issues around race and the world with children. We're going to start this series off with the book Mumbet's Declaration of Independence by Gretchen Woelfle, illustrated by Alix Delinois. I am your host, Allyson Criner Brown, and I use she and her pronouns. The idea behind this series came from two immediate needs that we are seeing among parents, caregivers, and educators. How do I talk with children about race and racism? And how do I further my own learning to be more anti-racist and anti-bias? Watch the introductory video to learn more about Teaching for Change and this series. Go to the video description below for links to the resources mentioned in this video. And go to teachingforchange.org to show your appreciation and to help sustain this work by making a donation. This will be a short analysis of children's books, in which I'll give you a brief synopsis of the story and then focus on 4 to 5 key points about the story through an anti-bias lens. Before we get started, there are 2 announcements. 1, the key resource that you should read and refer to for this series is called A Guide for Selecting Anti-Bias Children's Books. It's available at socialjusticebooks.org, and you can find it through the link below in the video description. This video series will walk you through ways to apply this guide to some of Teaching for Change's favorite and most highly recommended books, and some of the books that we do not recommend for children. Second, before sharing this book and other titles about slavery with young children, we encourage you to read our post, Considerations for Early Childhood and Early Elementary Educators on Slavery and Resistance. We also encourage you to look for resources not only to talk about slavery, but also to teach about Reconstruction, the era immediately following the Civil War and emancipation. Find these resources from Teaching for Change and more through the resources linked below. The subject of today's talk is Mumbet's Declaration of Independence by Gretchen Woelfle, illustrated by Alix Delinois, published in 2014. This book is appropriate for upper elementary age children, although it could be read aloud to younger children. This book does have a white author, though a goal of this series will be to feature books that are written by Black authors and other people of color. However, Mumbet's story, or Elizabeth Freeman as she renamed herself, is incredibly powerful, and we feel this book does justice to her struggle and victory. This story is a powerful reminder and example that Black people in the United States resisted their enslavement in many ways, from the courts to sabotaging their captors to their daily survival and existence. Here's a brief synopsis. In this book, readers are introduced to Mumbet, a Black woman enslaved in Massachusetts at the time of the Declaration of Independence in 1776. Mumbet, knowing that the promise of freedom and equality should belong to her as well, successfully brings a lawsuit against her owners to be free and chooses the name Elizabeth Freeman. Here are 5 key points to pull out about this book from an anti-bias lens. Number 1, this is a true story with an incredible protagonist who accomplished a heroic feat, suing for her own freedom and winning in the late 1700s. As described in the author's note, her case challenged the legality of slavery itself in Massachusetts. 2 years later, in 1781, a judge declared slavery unconstitutional in the state. Number 2, this book presents honest, straightforward portrayals of the brutality that enslaved Black people endured in ways that are accessible to elementary school children. Children can recognize that enslaved Black people were restricted and treated unfairly, not just by their individual captors. There were larger systems to enforce that mistreatment. Number 3, this story breaks through the myth that slavery was simply a Southern phenomenon. Elizabeth Freeman was born into bondage in Massachusetts, a northern state. at the time, a colony. When the Declaration of Independence was signed, every single Northern colony still allowed slavery. Even when the Northern states abolished slavery, their economies still centered around and profited from the slave labor of the U.S. South. Number 4, this book skillfully juxtaposes Mumbet's desire for freedom against the colonists' desire for freedom from Britain's laws and taxes. There was an absolute contradiction between the colonists' fight against the tyranny of the British Crown and their determination to deny liberty and justice to Black people, instead keeping them enslaved for profit. Elizabeth Freeman recognized the irony that the colonists were fighting for freedom, but they had no intention to extend freedom to her or other enslaved Black people. Number 5, the storytelling enables us to fully connect with Mumbet, Elizabeth Freeman, as a fully realized person who is determined, witty, and a sharp thinker. Too often, this is not the case when we talk about Africans and Black people as being slaves instead of people who were held in bondage or enslaved people. In this book, children can better connect that slavery meant the bondage of human beings like them, of people, not simply property. Again, the story is Mumbet's Declaration of Independence, written by Gretchen Woelfle, illustrated by Alix Delinois. This book is on our Slavery, Resistance, and Reparations book list at socialjusticebooks.org. Find this link and more in the resources below. Visit us online for book lists and more resources at socialjusticebooks.org. And please support our work by sharing this video and making a donation at teachingforchange.org. Hope to see you for the next episode of Freedom Reads, Anti-Bias Book Talk. Follow us, subscribe, donate, and share this. Peace, love, and justice.